You are now watching the Ball and Beats podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back here to another episode of the Ball and Beats podcast. It is episode 103. For all of you guys out there, like, subscribe, and push that notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. It is now summertime. We've had a few weeks off. We're finally back. I will say the rotation of people who are on the show will look a little different here over the summer, as I am joined in here with Aaron and a new guest as well, Alex, as well. We'll give him the floor in a minute to promote himself. As well, we have Alan over on Zoom joining us here. Alan, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, from an undisclosed location. Glad I could be here.
Yeah, it sounds, apparently the rumor is you're in Guantanamo Bay. Is that true?
Could be. I'll let you know next week.
Okay, sounds good. Well, good thing. Hopefully you're not in prison, That's okay, though. Yeah. But regardless, you have enough time to join us here on the Ball and Beats podcast. Before we go anywhere else, though, Alex, the floor is yours, sir. The floor is yours. Promote yourself.
Well, first off, thank you guys for having me on. This is a great opportunity. I've always loved the content you guys have put out. Our friendship began a while ago, but I run the Max Sports Connection podcast, as most people who might interact with me know, as you guys very well know. And it's been such a privilege to cover the Mid-American Conference, to cover this great league. And anybody who wants to tune in, wants to know more about the MAC, you can follow me at the MSC podcast over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm trying to be young and hip, like you kids over here. Right. YouTube, Facebook, wherever social media is at, you can find me. And like I said, it's all Maction all the time. That's all I do. So you want to know about Charlie Batch from Eastern Michigan? I got you.
Right, for sure. This man has put in a lot of hard work. I've seen that throughout really this whole school year in particular, and we really met throughout this past semester. Expect to see Alex throughout our summer programming here at the Ball and Beats podcast. He will be a regular on our show, and I think what really, really kicked everything off was, how about the MAC tournament back in Cleveland, though? That was definitely fun.
We're going to talk about that, huh?
Let's talk about it a little bit.
Man.
We can talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
If you want to.
Yeah, no, I covered all 14 games of that event. I was there every single day. You guys were there as well. And just what a great event. The Mid-American Conference does an excellent job putting together such a spectacle. Obviously, we send a single champion from either side to the NCAA tournament. And just hats off to Kent State women's basketball and Akron men's basketball. Akron now their second time in the last 3 years going to the NCAA tournament. Kent State, this was their first time in several years getting to the tournament from the women's side. Toledo was the prohibitive favorite, at least on the women's side. Yeah. Buffalo looked sharp. Becky Burke is doing some great things over there at UB. That was her second year, and they're going nowhere but up. And so that was an exciting event. Did some live audio coverage.
Yes,
for
sure.
All event long. You guys did a little bit more than I did, but we covered the championships. A good friend of mine, Graham, who's been helping me out a lot with the show. So shout out to him, of course. And we had a great time. That was a great championship day.
It was a great championship day for sure, and absolute amazing games too.
Yeah.
The Akron Kent State game, the way that ended, that was its own spectacle itself. The way that ended, that sent shockwaves throughout America, really, on social media.
Rob Senderoff was not happy at the end of that game.
Was definitely, he was definitely sent off for sure after that game.
Yes.
Aaron, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm doing great.
That's good.
It feels so weird to finally be back here. It's been a couple weeks without any content out of us. Mm-hmm. But moving forward, you can expect to see us again pretty much on a weekly basis. So since we're on the topic here of basketball, I say we do start with the NBA playoffs. I know we planned on starting somewhere else, but let's go with the NBA playoffs to start it off. And right now, when you look, let's talk the Western Conference. You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks series. Dallas is now at 3-2. What has happened to the 1 seed?
I mean, the 1 seed's kind of playing the Mavericks. We all knew the Western Conference was going to be a gauntlet for the playoffs. I mean, you had the Mavericks, who's got Luka and Kyrie. They've had a good couple off trade deadline moves, grabbing P.J. Washington, grabbing Daniel Gafford. they play a lot more actual defense, and I think people realize they actually do. That's actually how they do good in these playoff games. Like, Jason Kidd has them playing really tough, really physical. They're playing defense. I mean, I know Alan's got a lot of other thoughts, a lot of different kinds of thoughts, but
for sure.
I mean, I think the series could go 2-7, but like, it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, Alan, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are kind of what Aaron was saying. When it first started, I wasn't expecting that defense to come from the Mavericks because they haven't really shown it up until the playoffs, but I kind of brushed it off. But then going into this series, the way that they've been able to handle Shea and Giddey has been weirdly better than other teams. And they've also been able to shut down Chet, and they're leaving Giddey open for threes, which I guess anyone would. But it's just been a weird change because the Thunder are so fast-paced that they're not used to being down on defense like that. And then another part is that OKC, their defense hasn't been that great. You have Dort, who's been on Doc. It's hard to guard Luka in general, but Dort has been tasked with that, and it hasn't worked out. So me personally, I'd love to see a change in defense for that. But honestly, Washington, Irving, and Luka, they've really been what's helped this Dallas team get to where they are. And I do think it goes to 7 games. I do think the Thunder win the next game, but they just need to slow down Luka.
They need to slow down Luka, but Luka's the best player in this series, and I see Dallas winning in 6. I had the Mavericks making the Western Conference Finals to start off. When we talked about NBA playoffs a little bit earlier on, to me, Luka Doncic, for me, should have won the MVP this year. I thought he had the best season out of any player, I think. Shea had a great season. Jokic, I don't think should have won MVP, regardless. Denver might be the best team.
And Jokic is definitely the best player.
He is the best player, but that doesn't always mean MVP.
Yes.
LeBron James, you can make the argument, should have 9 or 10 MVPs.
Just because he's the best player in the league, yeah.
He only has 4. So at the end of the day, Jokic, I mean, he's at 3. I still think Shaq's a better player than Jokic has been. Jokic has 3 MVPs. Shaq only has 1. So
this may be a hot take, and I recognize that. I've been very impressed with Anthony Edwards this series.
Same.
He has just turned it on and taken it up. He had 44 points the other night. But he's averaged, 26, 25 on the season, so he's not been bad.
Yeah.
He's one of the top 15 point scorers in the game. He had 44 the other night. He literally said, I'm going to try to drag this team to the next round. Get on. It reminded me very much of LeBron James early Cleveland.
Yes.
That's what watching that's what I felt in that moment, just watching this game.
Oh, yeah. Anthony Edwards, that is a superstar they have in Minnesota, and they need to keep that man as long as they possibly can, because I think Anthony Edwards is talented enough to carry Minnesota to an NBA Finals, and I think he's talented enough to win a ring for Minnesota, a team that hasn't had one, a team that hasn't really had a lot of success really ever since Kevin Garnett left the first time around.
Yeah.
And it's an organization that is in need of something, and they finally have it in Anthony Edwards. And it's so surprising to me how Cat and Rudy Gobert has actually worked out. I didn't think the two bigs were really going to work out, and now how it's set up, Minnesota is set up for success in the future here. I think Minnesota is going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference moving forward with Anthony Edwards at the Realm.
Yeah, they're going to be good, but I'm going to go to the other team that's in that series, talk about Denver, because man, oh man, what a team. Nikola Jokic, what do you do to even defend this man right now?
Wembanyama might be your best option.
I mean,
even then, he was still look. I know a lot of us like to make fun of Rudy Gobert. I think he's now at the 4 Defensive Player of the Years. Jokic basically did whatever he wanted on Gobert. Yeah. But then if you actually saw the buckets he was making, I don't know how much more better defense Rudy Gobert could actually play on some of those shots.
Well, Jokic, you look at some of those shots. They were very, very, very low percentage shots.
They were, yes.
They were almost circus shots.
That's all you can ask from Gobert on defensive side. Yeah. Is if you're forcing these circus shots, tough contested shots, if they go in, they're going in. There's just nothing you're going to do with Nikola Jokic.
Sure.
Right now, he just does whatever he wants. Jamal Murray, he's kind of always been the most important player to me for these playoff runs, because whenever he's doing really, really well, that's kind of when the Nuggets do well.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what happened in the
if-
Lakers
to
series in
me-
the first round.
To me, I think it's almost Michael Porter Jr. Because if Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon, one of those two,
Oh,
if
if
they're
one of them's getting above
if
20
one
points,
of them, they're not
call a
losing.
game.
They're not losing.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're not losing. Jamal Murray can go off, but if you have Aaron Gordon shooting 11 to 12 from the field,
Yeah.
they're gonna win. They're gonna win, and I don't know. I don't know what it is about Denver. They've got something there. It's annoying. I'm not a fan of Denver by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not even gonna hide that unbiasedness, but they're the best team in the NBA put together right now. They are. They are. And I don't see a team in the West that really can stop them. I think there are better quality players out there that have a higher ceiling than Jokic, like Luka, like Anthony Edwards.
Sure.
But to me, Jokic and what his skill set is, he's a unicorn.
Yeah.
He is a unicorn because he's that stereotypical slow, fat white dude in the middle that just can't be stopped.
Shout out to all the slow, fat white dudes out there. This one's for you.
But he is, though. I mean, you can't stop him. He shoots from
Yeah.
waist like so.
He
far
shoots like
back.
I shot in 6th grade.
Yes.
It was ugly.
It's ugly, but he makes
He
it
makes
every
them, like-
time. I don't. It's his part-time job.
Yeah.
And the
is.
National Basketball Association is this dude's part-time job. He does not like what he's doing at all, but he is going to go out there and he is going to perform every time because that's what he does.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're not even talking about the fact that Minnesota had a 2-0 lead on this series. If
Correct.
we were talking last week, if we had a show last week, we'd be talking about Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oh, they could go to the finals.
Right.
And now it's 3-2 Denver.
Yeah.
So, we gave it a week to really settle itself down.
Yeah,
before we
let the
got
actual
back on air.
series.
Now, in fairness, we do have Minnesota at home.
Yes.
Yes.
For Game 6. So we could get down to that pivotal Game 7. You guys talked about that. You get back out to Denver. I think Denver takes it. But I don't know. I mean, this has been one of those series. You think Minnesota, all right, we're up 2-0. Denver comes roaring back for 3 games. Now you're back in Minnesota for Game 6. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens tonight and then obviously Game 7 if we get to that point.
Yeah, if we get to Game 7, I think Denver's got to clinch that at home.
I
They're
think
going to have
so.
the home
Yeah.
crowd advantage. To me, Denver is they're just too good
Sure.
at home. I
Minnesota's
can't
crowd
see.
is going to be crazy.
Minnesota's going to be pumped for tonight.
I've actually been in that arena. It was during spring break.
Yeah.
Me and my friend Hudson, we went up there visiting. My friend Jordan went to a game, and the craziest thing about Timberwolves is they give a standing ovation anytime Naz Reid comes into the game. It's actually the craziest thing.
Naz Reid,
Reid
sixth
is
man of the year.
loved. He was 6th man of the year. I think he might be the key factor. Like, I know everyone's talking about Rudy Gobert, but if Naz Reid can come in off the bench, give you quality minutes on offense and on defense too, I think that's where Minnesota can get the edge for Game 6.
Well, and I think that's key. You talk about quality minutes both on offense and defense. A lot of guys can give you great minutes one way or another.
Yeah.
He's one of the few who can do it both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's pivot to the Eastern Conference here real quick. I say we get it out the way first, so that way you guys can, just sulk in the pain.
I don't want to talk about it.
Let's just talk about this Celtics-Cavs series, all right? What's the future hold for Cleveland? Losing in 5 to the best team in the East, and it's not close. What's the future for the Cavs?
Alex, you want to start? Because I really don't know.
This will be the worst season Darius Garland has in his entire NBA career.
Yeah.
He will never drop below this level of performance ever again. And that could be because he's going to a different team. That could be because he stays in Cleveland and figures it out with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, this is a little bit, and I hate to continue to bring up LeBron James, but I'm kind of getting a little bit of LeBron Kyrie with this.
Yeah.
But to me, it feels a little bit different because I think that these guys, when they're on together, you can't beat them. But I don't think that Darius Garland had the season he wanted, and it came out in his play in the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if Donovan Mitchell does get an extension this offseason, you're seeing the last of Darius Garland in Cleveland.
Agreed.
You're seeing the last of probably even Jared Allen in Cleveland as well. I don't see those two really being around next season.
Really?
I don't.
I don't know
about
Jared
Allen.
Allen's.
I don't know.
I think it's one of the two guards. I think the two big men are staying. I don't think Cleveland's going to give up Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Because you saw this series not having Jared Allen You just watched a 38-year-old Al Horford get 15 rebounds.
That's true. I heard a rumor about Jared Allen that he didn't take like cortisone shot or whatever to be able to play. Or not cortisone shot, like a shot to be able to play. He said, "I'm fine. I'm gonna sit this one out." So that's a rumor, but that's not fully true.
I think the thing we're overlooking. Do they get rid of Bickerstaff? So I've got the numbers here: 0 Eastern Conference Final appearances, 0 divisional titles, 170 and 159 overall record. Is it time to move on from him? I mean, you've got great pieces in Cleveland. Yes. Cleveland is a team who is in the playoffs. That I think they really are one of the better teams in the league. Do you get rid of JB Bickerstaff? I think you do.
I think you do, but who do you replace him with?
Me.
You?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, I've never lost an NBA game.
You've never lost an NBA game?
That's what they say. I don't know if that's true, but
okay.
No, but I don't know who you replace him with. And I don't have that solution. No. I really don't. But I think that maybe you look at this. He is 11 games over 500. Mm-hmm. He's been there a few years now. You've had time to figure it out. You know your players. Granted, the John Beelan experiment was very much an experiment.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think you got to kind of re-examine this. People want a contender. They want a champion in Cleveland again. They had one back in 2016. Now they want to prove they can do it without LeBron. That's kind of the cloud that's hanging over Cleveland right now. It's like LeBron brought you one. That's great. Can you do it without LeBron? I don't think that Bickerstaff's the guy who can get him there.
So
go to the Cavs fan.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go to the series first. I'm gonna just talk about basketball because the whole JB stuff. I kind of like him because we've have been better and better every year he has been there.
Sure.
Because if there was a candidate, I would say yes. Let's go get him. That's better than JB. I would do it. Right now, I just don't believe there's a candidate out there that is better than JB Bickerstaff. So I think you have to keep him for me a year. Obviously, Mitchell still has 1 year left on the contract. Garland just signed, I think, 2 seasons ago, that 5-year, $193 million contract. So you got to trade him if you don't want him. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not many options.
Not J.J. Redick?
No. I like J.J. Redick, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to be a coach.
Maybe Doug Gottlieb.
Oh my gosh, that was the craziest
Green
thing
Bay
ever.
Stop it.
Yeah,
You're
but
done.
no. I got to talk good. Evan Mobley, this Boston series, I loved how he played.
Evan Mobley's wonderful.
I think if that's the Evan Mobley we can get starting next season, I think there we go. That's what we needed from Evan Mobley. Is him shooting the ball, getting these 20-plus points games. Obviously, he's not the biggest dude in the world. He's not going to be the center that gets a bunch of blocks and rebounds because that's more what Jared Allen does.
Right.
But Game 5, you saw what the Cavs were without Karis LeVert, Donovan Mitchell, and Jared Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They fought for basically a little over 3.5 quarters of that game.
Yeah.
They were within 3 points of the Celtics in the fourth quarter. I know Jason Tatum made a press conference saying we shouldn't blow out every team, every game. There was no reason why that game was within 3 points and that late into the fourth quarter.
Correct.
I'm a Cavs fan. Don't get me wrong. But, man, Game 4, you told me without Mitchell now we only lose by 7 at home. I'm like, okay. Game 5, it was within 3 points, 1 point deep into the fourth quarter without Mitchell, LeVert, Allen, and Garland not playing well. I mean, I take that. I think there's room for improvement.
There is room for improvement with the Cavs. They just hit the gauntlet in Boston, really. Yeah. I think Boston, there's no team that's beating the Celtics team.
In the East,
In the East, there's no team.
You talk about how great Evan Mobley is, and you talk about how great this team is, especially when you're missing other key players. Back to my question about Bickerstaff, are you hurting these guys' clocks with their playing time the longer you continue with Bickerstaff? Again, I don't have a solution on who you could replace him with, but how many more years are you going to get this great play from these guys? Especially if it's not coming together. It just feels like sometimes you get 2 or 3 guys, they're on, and everybody else just forgot what basketball was.
Yeah.
And then the next night, well, those guys who forgot, they come back and they play, and the previous 2 guys are like, we're exhausted. Y'all got to carry this tonight. Mm-hmm. So it just feels like there's a lot of, I don't want to say a lack of continuity, but it just feels like there's always something missing.
Yeah.
Every single game.
Yeah. I don't know where you go if you're the Cavs. I don't. I do think you should.
Well, they just went home, so.
Yeah. We're now in Cancun.
Cancun. That's
Yeah,
where they went.
they're in Cancun.
They're in Cancun, right next to Jimmy Butler and my Heat, so it's okay. It's all right though.
Here's a seat on the couch for you.
Biggest seat
Alan's
on
team
the
might be
couch.
there soon, so-
Alan's team will be there here fairly shortly. Is that right? Yeah. Put the hands up. It's correct. It's correct. I just want you to know.
Hey, you can talk about Boston, you know?
Yeah.
We
Let's
haven't talked about them yet, so.
quickly to wrap up basketball segment here. Let's talk about Knicks Pacers. Let's talk about Knicks Pacers. New York would be the team best to contend with the Celtics if they weren't so banged up. I originally I said the Knicks were going to win the Eastern Conference on this podcast. I said that the Knicks were going to make their first finals in a long time. And I don't know. Indiana's hanging around. And Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, they could do some damage. Not with Boston, but I think they could upset the Knicks here.
You think they could make it to the finals?
Eastern
Indiana?
Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference Finals. I think they could, but the thing is, this next game, I don't know. If it gets back to Madison Square Garden, it is in Madison Square Garden, I believe.
Game 7 will be back.
Game 7 would be in
back in,
Madison
yes.
Square
Yeah.
Garden. I don't see how the Pacers win in Madison Square Garden. I don't see it.
By scoring more points.
No, I just don't see it. I don't see it though. Like
Thanks. That's some great analysis work right
That's
there.
why I'm here.
Man, I
that
love
was great
it.
analysis. You think the referees want in the NBA? You think they want to see Boston, Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Is it about
Or
what
Boston,
the
New York?
referees want, or is it about what Vegas wants?
Vegas.
Vegas wants to put the money, get people to put the money on Indiana. Now is the underdog.
Right
That
now.
being said, Boston's gonna win it here in Game 6. It's gonna be, it's gonna be series over. Boston gets a little bit of a break before the Eastern Conference Finals.
I mean,
So.
New York.
New York.
Or sorry, New York. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm thinking they were gonna play Boston. I apologize, but
Yeah.
it's all this basketball talk, man.
I know, right? It's getting all
An
the teams
orange
confusing.
ball and
Orange
you
ball.
bounce it, and
Yeah,
it's a
right.
whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think New York. I mean, they're such a tough team, defensively, offensively. You have to earn every point you score against New York.
Yes.
And then defensively, they punish you. Or when you're on defense, they punish you. They come out and they pass the ball so well. They are just so lightning quick with what they do. When they have possession, you have to defend. Most teams you defend 2 or 3 guys, and these are their stars. It just feels like New York doesn't really have any big stars. They're just all good.
I think Jalen Brunson is a big star.
I don't know that he is.
I think Jalen Brunson is a big star,
He's
but
not.
I don't think he's a big star that can't fully carry that load to the finals.
That's why I don't think he's a big star.
Like
A star can carry your team all the way.
they're so desolate right now though. So many injuries.
LeBron James did it with Cleveland for years.
Jimmy Butler did it with
Dragged them.
Miami.
I mean, but
I
that's
just
my
have to throw
point. Is
that in there.
Brunson is a phenomenal player, and I think he's one of the best players in the league. But I would not put the label superstar on him.
Star?
Newly formed star.
Newly formed star? Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he's a superstar though. I think he's a superstar.
That's a
I think
take.
he's the whole reason right now that they're not losing the series to Indiana.
I'll give you that.
So I think New York, if they were healthy, I feel like they'd give Boston one hell of a run. I feel like they would. Boston's just too good right now, and they've been pretty lucky themselves, the Celtics, with the teams they've played.
Sure.
And the injury luck that they've had. Miami without Jimmy Butler, without some of their other best pieces, and now as well playing Cavs, having Donovan Mitchell in and out of the lineup, no Jared Allen, no everybody else. Like, I feel like Boston's had it pretty easy.
Yeah.
That's
Al,
the
you
one
got
seed.
something to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say really quickly that if the Knicks make it and they are facing Boston, I actually give it to the Knicks in Game 7. I do think it'll go 7 games, and I do think the Knicks win it. I do think Jalen has hit the point in his career where he could carry the Knicks to that promised land.
Even with the banged up Knicks, you still believe the Knicks can get past the Celtics?
Yes, I do.
Maybe so. I would like to stick with my prediction as well, because I said the Knicks are going to win the Eastern Conference Finals. I know I said no one will beat Boston. So I'm just going to have to stick with the Knicks winning the Eastern Conference. I'm going to have to stick with it. But definitely not as confident as I was when I first said that. That's for sure. The confidence has definitely gone down. Any predictions how this plays out?
I think it's Boston Denver in the finals. We were talking about that in the pre-show. I think it's going to be Boston-Denver, and I think Boston can win the whole thing. And I know that is the hottest of takes right now.
The craziest thing is I think they need to, especially Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They need a finals win.
Yes.
That's the key, right? Is obviously I think they can, but I think that the bigger thing is they absolutely have to.
Yes.
This isn't we got there. Okay, no, you have to win.
Like what
if you
Draymond
get
Green
there.
said on TNT last night was crazy.
Yeah.
After the Cavs Celtics game, because they were saying that it's the third straight year for the Eastern Conference Finals for the Celtics, 6 of the 8, and Draymond them two have like the most wins in the past 5 seasons of a duo, and Draymond's like, yeah, but a lot of people, no one cares because they haven't won it all yet.
Yeah.
They've only made 1 finals appearance in that whole 6 Eastern Conference Finals appearances. They've made it once.
Yeah.
And lost to Warriors.
You got to get out from under that cloud of can we do it? Can we do it?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. You win a championship, debate's over. You won all these games. You've done so many great things, 6 of 8 like you talked about, conference championships. Now you've won a title. I think that ends that cloud that's hanging over them.
And I feel like it has to be this year.
Yeah.
It has to be this year because if they don't do it this year, when will they? When will they? This is the time. You have no real competition in the East, I would say. I shouldn't say no real competition. You have to go out there and play. But it's an easy road to the finals. And then whoever you play, regardless if it's Denver, Dallas, OKC, whoever it is, you got to go out there and you got to prove it. And Boston, I don't trust to prove it. I just don't trust to prove it.
Sure.
I think Jason Tatum, I think he is the worst player in the clutch out there in the NBA. When it matters the most, he fades away.
Them as a team also
I have
just
no
goes
comment.
They
fades away.
There's a lot more I can get with them, but we got other.
Yeah, we got other stuff to talk about. That's going to wrap up this basketball segment here. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Drake-Kendrick beef. It's been a hot minute. There's a lot to talk about there. We're going to dive into it just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Ball of Beats podcast. I see you guys have made it to this point of the video, and you still haven't gone to ballandbeatshop.com? Y'all need to pause that video right now and go get some B&B merch. Shout out to the best cameraman, Willie T. You can use his custom discount code, WillieT4, for 30% off all your t-shirts at the Ball and Beat shop. Willie T looks good in his B&B merch, and he can make you look even better. It would also look great if you guys went and hit that subscribe button. We thank you guys so much for your support. Now back to the action. Hello and welcome back here to episode 103 of the Ball and Beats podcast. I'm alongside Aaron, Alex, and Alan from Zoom. A lot of A names here. A lot of A names. Let's get into Drake and Kendrick, shall we? Drake and Kendrick. I feel like, Alan, I'm going to give you the floor first. Is this maybe the greatest rap beef we've ever seen?
I'd say for our generation, yes. It's been a long time since the rap game has seen a beef like this. So I just think, as it's going right now, yes, it is the biggest one. I mean, we have some great ones. Eminem beefs with almost everyone who tries to cross him, but it doesn't work out like this. We've seen it with NWA when they split, Ice Cube, No Vaseline.
Yeah.
We all seen that. And then we've also seen it with Ether. Nas and Jay-Z have gone at it. So there's been some big ones, but it's been a long time since we've seen them like this. So I just got to say, I'm not picking sides like J. Cole. I'm just going to, let them battle it out and see what happens. Well, but I just think it is the biggest one in a while.
I mean, they haven't battled it out in a minute, though. I mean, I shouldn't say a minute. It's been a week since either of them have really dropped anything. But
yeah.
But they were kind of just dropping.
Just continuous. It was.
There was one night it was like Drake dropped, and then I'm pretty sure Kendrick dropped 20 minutes.
Kendrick, I believe there was 4 songs or 5 songs that dropped in a matter of 48 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours. And it was just the fact that Kendrick just kept throwing them out there. He just kept on throwing them at Drake, jabbing. I think he got, with Not Like Us, he got him with the left hook. I'm not going to lie. I think he got him with the left hook on Not Like Us. That song, it's not even like that wasn't even the real diss. Meet the Grams was the real diss. Not like us. He said, I'm gonna just go West Coast on you and just stomp all over you after that. I think Drake, there is no way for Drake to come back from it, even if any of this comes out to be true or not with whatever was said between both of them. Public opinion will not change. Everyone has the opinion that Kendrick has won this. I feel like. Even the Drake fans. I feel like deep down inside, Christian is somewhere watching this knowing that Kendrick has won this beef.
Let's see how Kendrick...
2K Dilly and Christian together are crying at Drake's funeral right now. Since they can't be here, that's where they're at. They're actually at Drake's funeral.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Whew. So I'm just going to throw out here, I think one or both are setting up to drop an album.
Maybe.
So I pulled up some numbers because I'm a numbers guy and I like my numbers.
Yeah.
And I was looking at Lamar's last album back in 2022.
Yeah.
65,000 sales. His worst-selling album of all time. Now, granted, obviously, over time, you'll get more sales just organically. Drake, his album, For All the Dogs, last year, 20,000 sales. This beef, this public beef, I think they're setting up, getting more attention on him. Boom, dropping an album. Gonna boost those sales. I don't know that this is a real beef, and these guys have gone back and forth since 2010.
These guys have gone back and forth for a long time.
It's been a long time. So I think that there's an opportunity that they're setting up. One or both of them are going to be dropping albums, and they've worked all this out. Like, hey, I'm going to do this because they cranked out all of that in 48 hours. Now, granted, these are professionals who have done this for years. They cranked out all this beef, recorded, edited, everything ready to go in 48 hours. Something tells me there's something else happening. An album is coming from one or both of them soon.
I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. To me, I do think the beef has some validity to it, however, because these two have been going at it. They've been butting heads, like you said, pretty much since the early 2010s, like 2010, 2011 time frame. They've been butting heads since all the way back then, and I think that really it hit its headway right here. And the rap game in general, it hasn't had this kind of attention on it in a minute. It hasn't had this kind of beef, really all the way back to the East Coast, West Coast days where that was real, continuous beef back and forth. This is two of the biggest hitters in the hip-hop industry now, and that's really where it is, because you've seen a lot of these other beefs. Drake's had his own beefs. Others have had their beefs, but you haven't seen the two biggest artists in the space go at it like they have. And I think it's been fantastic for the hip-hop scene. I mean, it's been amazing regardless. The numbers coming in for both. Not Like Us was the most streamed song, I believe, in hip-hop or of all time. I can't remember exactly, in one day.
Yeah.
So,
But that's why I think, sure, the beef is probably real. That's the history's there for it to be legitimate. But that's why I think, man, they're setting up for an album drop because those numbers, those streaming numbers, through the roof on all of this. Everybody was plugged in. Oh, did you see Drake drop this? You see Lamar drop it, and just constantly. You saw this on Twitter. You saw this on Instagram. So that to me that tells me exactly what's happening. That's why I think there's an album coming, and it's gonna be fire.
There's an album coming. I do agree. I think that they've had these in the works for sure. I mean, obviously they have, because Kendrick dropped 4 minutes after Drake had dropped Family Matters. He dropped Meet the Grams 4 or 5 minutes after that. So he knew the second that dropped, I got this coming. And then he dropped Not Like Us not long after that, later on the next day. So obviously, regardless, that these have been in the works. It's nothing that I don't think either of them were shocked by.
Right.
But
they were ready. They had the chambers loaded. Let's do this.
Well, the thing is, we heard after the Like That verse that Kendrick had with Future on his project with Metro Boomin, after the fact, there was the rumors of, hey, they both have diss tracks ready for each other. And it was obvious that a beef was going to come. It was pretty obvious that was going to happen, and it's been pretty enjoyable. And all the memes that have come out about it, all the TikToks about it. Man, I'm sorry, Aubrey. I'm sorry, Aubrey. You.
He's throwing real names out.
Aubrey Graham, I'm so sorry for you, sir. What Kendrick said about you is very intense. I'm sorry. You've said some intense things about Kendrick as well. So, but man, I think Alan, like you said, this is easily the best rap beef in this generation. I don't think there's a rap beef that could come soon that could be anything close to this.
Sure.
I just don't see it.
There's really not, because off what Alan said, he's like, for most of us, like, guys, especially with Alan, you and me, since we've been live, there hasn't really been a rap beef. Because he mentioned, like, people like with Eminem, and I'm like, yeah, but that was nothing. I mean, Eminem would literally drop some.
Boom.
Yeah, it would be one song from Eminem, and it was done. Because it was just like, no, you're not. It was just like.
Well, that's because Eminem could do it in just one song.
Yes,
he
would do it in one song and be like, yeah, like done. Like the one I think this has probably been the biggest one for me probably since NWA.
Yeah.
When I think that's like, the one rap beef where it's kind of like, look, this is finally where I'm not a big hip hop guy. And it is blowing up my phone.
Really just East Coast, West Coast in general.
You don't have to be a hip hop guy. This is blowing up people's phones right now.
Oh, yeah.
On social media.
Oh, yes. Everyone, people who really don't listen to hip hop are seeing this, It's done wonders for the hip hop community. It's done wonders for the rap scene. Drake and Kendrick, we appreciate it. We talked about this about a month and a half ago when Like That first came out. And we speculated that a beef would come out of it, and, well, have we been treated, I would say. Have we been treated to absolute bars?
Yeah.
Absolute bars, also absolute just ruthlessness. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that are said, like, they should sue each other. Like, this would be court battles. I'm serious. Like, the stuff that they're... The allegations against each other are very scandalous allegations, and they've really tiptoed past the line of going over for both of them, But the real question is, which one's the best song out of the beef?
I got it right here.
What's that?
Not Like Us. I'm sorry. Kendrick Lamar dropping that, produced by DJ Mustard, he gave you a song that you could dance to. He was literally dancing on Drake's grave with that.
That's what I was trying to say about Not Like Us. Like, although I think Family Matters is pretty good by Drake. I feel like that's another one I listen to. Like, if we're talking about repeat factor, just for song purpose, it is Not Like Us and Family Matters. But if you're talking true diss, you're talking, I think, Meet the Grams.
Yeah.
The Grams was ruthless.
I think Meet the Grams, because he's telling a story he's talking to Drake's son. Mm-hmm. He's saying, when you're 18, come back and listen to this. Yeah. He's talking to Drake's mom. He's talking to a quote-unquote daughter that he says he might have, but Drake said in another song that we set you up with that. Like, so that to me is the biggest diss. Mm-hmm. Not Like Us, though. That was just... stomping on him in his grave already. Like, that's what that was. Yeah. And Kendrick, people said you couldn't diss people well. Salute to you, sir, because you definitely proved people wrong. And I think Kendrick Lamar, you may have just jumped up a lot of people's board on all-time lists in the rap scene because of it. So I think Kendrick Lamar, for this, his fans have to be rejoicing because he's finally dropping. And, I think that kind of hurts Drake a little bit in his career path because he was continuously dropping throughout the course of his career, unlike a lot of other greats in the music scene in general. Right. A lot of some of the best artists of all time, they take a couple years for their next project to come out before they try and perfect it, where Drake has kind of thrown out projects almost every other year standpoint, ever since 2009, 2010. And it's really kind of, I think, it's definitely not hurt Drake by any stretch of the imagination because he's one of the biggest people in the scene, but I think that it means that some of his stuff, it's a lot of the same.
Well, and I think to your point, there's a reason people still talk about Eminem.
Yeah.
He dropped a lot early, and then as he got older, had his family, took his time. But every time he dropped something, it was fire. It was, here it is. No, don't give me that. I don't know
about the last 3 projects or so.
Don't give me that, because you're still talking about him. People still talk about Eminem.
Yes.
And sure, they'll reference the OG stuff. They still talk about the new stuff, too. I mean, he is still one of the greatest rap artists of all time. Will be that way until the day he dies and far after.
I'm not saying that for sure. I think Eminem is maybe the greatest lyricist in the rap industry of all time.
1,000%. I don't think that's disputed.
I just don't think his newest stuff has been quite Eminem.
It's not been early Eminem. I'll give you that. But I still think it's good. I still think it's quality. I think that because again, he's taken time with it. He's changed timbres of who he is. Yeah. He's not Eminem of, back in the 90s and, all the, the Slim Shady. He's not that anymore. He's a different person. So I think that's something to kind of keep in mind as you listen to his newer stuff too.
Alan, to end us off here, what you got to say?
I just want to say really quickly on Eminem, for his upcoming project, he put an obituary in the Detroit Free Press newspaper, and it said "Death of Slim Shady."
Ooh.
So
did not know that.
Maybe he is evolving.
Did not know that. So
that's okay. I like that. I like maybe is that going to be title of his next project?
It could be.
Okay. Wow.
Maybe so. Maybe he's just Marshall Mathers now, moving forward. But that's going to wrap up our music and rap beef talk here. When we come back, we're going to get into some college football video game talk, as well as NFL schedule release. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Ball and Beats podcast. We'll be back.
Welcome Toledo women's basketball player Quenisha Lockett to the B&B family. We want to welcome her with her own discount code. You can go to ballandbeatshop.com and use code QL$ for 20% off all hoodies at our shop. If Q is a fan of our merch, then you will be too. Back to the show.
And welcome back here to another episode of the Ball and Beats podcast. Alongside me, Aaron, Alex, and Alan. Still all the A names. Triple A over here. Yep. I don't need my car towed, I promise. But here,
we're going to do it anyway.
Going to do it anyway?
Yeah.
We would be towing nothing.
Towing absolutely nothing. That's right. Maybe a scooter. But let's get into college football talk. How about EA College Football 25? Release date is official, July 19th. We are finally getting the game of our childhood back.
Let's go.
My childhood, my late early adult childhood.
Oh, don't worry. I played some NCAA football too.
I will body you with the Akron Zips.
Akron,
I challenge anybody. I will body any of you with the Akron Zips.
I already know my team now is going to be Louisiana Monroe, so I can make General Booty a national champion.
Got to get through my Zips.
The Warhawks.
I'll take Kent State. Let's go.
Let's go.
Kent State.
Hey, man,
I got to go away
I
from
got to get my Washington State back.
You're Washington State? Washington State Cougars.
Yeah, he's got to choose that independent school,
Yeah, the independent school up there in the Pac-2. Shout out the Pac-2. It's a great conference. Great conference games, actually, by the way. I can't wait to watch that conference championship. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
I really hope they just do a season of 8 games against each other, and it's a rotating home and home, and whoever finishes better gets to be the home team for the Pac-2 championship.
And whoever wins that gets an automatic berth into the college football playoff.
Listen, no, don't get me started on that. Do not get me started on the playoffs.
Hey, we won't get started on playoff talk here, but how about just the fact that we're getting that game back? It's genuinely one of my favorite games to play. Road to Glory. Oh, Road to Glory. I miss Road to Glory so much. Let's talk about the cover, though.
Let's start with Alan.
Let's start with Alan on the cover. What do you think about the cover?
Okay, I didn't think it was as bad as people were making it out to be. Now, does it look like a generic Madden cover? Yes. But I don't think it was that bad. And I know we talked a little bit about it before we came on about how Travis Hunter's on there. And, Colorado, they're not a good football team. They suck. But I think it just goes to the marketability of the players themselves, not so much if they're on a good team or not.
If that's the case, though, why would Donovan Edwards be a player on there then?
Because they're the national champions.
I know they're national champions, but marketability, he doesn't bring a lot of markability, I don't think.
Because he had 2 long touchdowns on Ohio State.
You're not include your national champions.
Yeah, I'll know. Well, yeah. What other? Because here, we'll ask Alan this because he's the Michigan fan. What other Michigan player would you have put on the cover besides Donovan Edwards?
If it wasn't Edwards, I would go with Corum or I would go with McCarthy.
But the problem is they
current
players.
Graduated.
Yeah, they said early on they wanted current. So who on the current team would it be besides Edwards?
There's only
one
one
answer.
Will Johnson. It would have to be Will Johnson.
Alex Orji, baby.
I mean, Will Johnson, yeah. probably would be, but I do think that Donovan Edwards being on it is fine.
I think it is too.
I'm okay with
Quinn
it.
Ewers is on the cover.
Quinn Ewers, but he also has a little bit more marketability than Donovan Edwards.
He was also in the playoffs.
But he also hasn't.
He was also in the playoffs. Not Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Respect to Travis Hunter. Bad team, but probably the most marketable player in college football right now. So I think that makes sense.
He's got that, and he's also got the coach, too, because he's got primetime as a coach.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not more upset the players who's on it. I can understand Edwards because, you got to have a Michigan. They won the championship. Quinn Ewers, he's probably the biggest name in college football going into this season. And then you have Travis Hunter, who is the biggest name going into college football this year, even though he got torched by a Stanford guy last year.
Yes.
But I'm just more upset the actual cover, like the actual layout design itself. This is something, even if you don't really know how to use Photoshop or something like that, you could probably go on there, maybe make it in 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It looks like it had absolutely no work done. You look at the stands in that photo, there is nobody in it. They have an empty football field.
Yeah.
You tell me you couldn't have just taken the pictures of the players, get an actual photo of an actual full stadium, and then put the players on that, so it actually makes it look like an actual interactive live crowd. That's my biggest problem with the standard edition.
So I'm actually okay with that because the stadium's obviously digitally generated. It's not a real stadium. But I think the point of it was to show hey, this is back, because the second you create an image that's in a full stadium, you're able to say, oh, that's this year's Rose Bowl game between Michigan and Alabama, or oh, that's this year's Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn, or oh, that's the game. Or the Red River rivalry, so you're able to distinguish what game it is, and I think that takes away from the focus, which is the guys on the cover. Yeah. For me, I'm okay with the empty stands. I see what you're saying. I like the idea of the empty stands just because now you can focus. You're not trying to figure out what stadium are they in. You're figuring out, look at the guys on the cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, I have the biggest problem with the deluxe edition cover. Now, I actually still prefer it. My biggest pet peeve about it, though, is they have all those flags, right, of all the college teams, and no Washington State flag, Old Crimson, the thing that is always there, the flag that's always there for College Game Day. That's not on that cover for the deluxe edition? I'm sorry. That's blasphemous, as Stephen A. would
Missed
say.
opportunity. I'm going to go further. I don't know how many helmets I counted that I could distinguish what the logos were.
Yeah.
I saw one group of 5 team, Boise State. I'd shout out and respect to Boise State.
Yes.
One group of 5 team.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Come on, man.
Yeah. Got to respect the group of 5. I mean, everyone knows the group of 5. They're trying to push that away from the Power 4.
I could talk for hours on that.
Yeah. Well, we can talk a lot about that leading up in the college football season. I can promise you that. But everyone knows they're trying to push away that group of 5 away from the Power 4 that it now is, and we'll talk about that later down the road, closer to college football season.
But that was my issue with the deluxe edition. One group of 5 helmet. If you're going to be a game that represents everything as celebration of college football, you got to throw a few more on. Now I'm sure their digital factory, they're like, oh yeah, if we pull back the layers, you'll see this helmet. The point is, I can't distinguish what those helmets are. Yeah, I can distinguish the power conferences, which is fine. Those are the ones who have the most marketability. Toledo's not going to outmarket Ohio State,
right?
Or Akron's not going to outmarket USC. I get that. I understand that. But I think if you're doing a celebration cover like that and you're trying to show, look, we're putting everybody on here, you gotta do something to make it distinguishable. I've been joking that the MAC is actually leading the charge, taking everybody out onto the field, so that helps me sleep at night.
Hey. Absolutely, because the Mid-American Conference is the best conference in college football.
That's just a fact.
It is a fact.
That's not even a hot take.
It's not a hot take. It is strictly a fact. That's just how it is in Maction, okay? In Maction country. We bleed Maction. We live for Maction. We die for Maction.
Well, I have died for Maction twice.
Yeah. Twice?
Last year. It's
fine.
But I'm gonna go to MVP bundle because I gotta talk about it because it's basically it is 2 games in one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but they have an MVP bundle where you can pre-order it, so you get EA College Football 25 Deluxe Edition 3 days early. Then you also get Madden NFL 25 Deluxe Edition 3 days early.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting two $100 games for $150. Look,
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy that because I'm probably not going to get Madden this year. But if you're going to get both NCAA and Madden, it sounds crazy, but it's technically less money than you would spend if you wanted both
Yes.
when they come out.
Yes. It makes too much sense to get both games if
If
that
that's
way.
what you want, yeah.
If you want
but
both
I'm probably
games.
going to be just playing more NCAA because I'm just ready.
The real question I have for everyone here, what's the mode we're most ready for? Starting with Alan.
Oh man, I gotta do that dynasty.
Dynasty?
I gotta build my programs.
Yep.
Do you have any programs in mind?
Besides Washington State, I've definitely been thinking about doing a Toledo one. Gotta do Michigan because that's my favorite team.
Is that even
That can't count. You're not building a program at that point.
That program's built. I don't know if you know this, but they won a national championship this year.
It is okay. I gotta keep it going, but as far as building, it would probably.
You were
be
born on
Washington
third base
State
is
and
what I'm
Toledo.
hearing if you do that.
Correct.
Is that what I'm hearing? You were born on third base and you thought you hit a triple? If you do
Yeah,
that.
but
Okay.
I'm not Ryan Day, so
Well, no, it sounds like you're Sharon Moore.
hey, at least Moore can win.
Can't win.
Did
Nah,
beat Ohio State.
don't really matter.
okay,
to
any
be honest.
other teams?
If they didn't cheat, then probably not. But
Okay, still a little unproven, but calm down. Okay, another team that I would probably do would probably be Boise State because I do like them. I love that field. You got to do it.
that is a bucket list for me for college football. I have to go to a game in Boise, Idaho.
Got to hit that Smurf turf.
I
up.
have to hit the
I
Smurf
think
turf.
everyone has to.
I have to hit the Smurf turf,
Yep.
and I have to hit the Kibbe Dome.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got to do a double trip.
Yeah.
You got to go to Boise, and then you got to go to Moscow, Idaho. The Vandals, now in the FCS.
Which is so funny because they were in the last game.
They were in the last game.
They were in FBS in the last game.
Yes, they were. They were in the WAC.
Yeah. May the WAC football rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace to the WAC football. But shout out Grand Canyon from going to WAC to the WCC for basketball.
Big.
Anyway, big moves. Big moves for Grand Canyon there.
Yeah.
But you guys as well, what are the modes you're looking for?
I am so ready to do so I'm doing an online dynasty. I've already got people. We're gonna do all 12 MAC teams. We've got everybody's already assigned.
Oh, wow.
Starting to build this up, and I am ready to lead Kent State to the promised land. Kent State was the worst team in the Mid-American
Yeah.
Conference last year. They won one game. I am ready to turn that program around. I've already got current Kent State coach Kenny Burns. We're gonna play online together, so I'm gonna show him how to run a program.
Ultimate grind.
He's doing the
And,
ultimate.
They
grind.
might have been one of the worst teams just in general.
Yeah,
I
they were awful.
I saw Kent State here in their spring warm up and everything in training, wearing T-shirts that say Team 133 out of 133 FBS schools. So
Yep.
looks like Kent State, they're ready to try and bounce back this year. in the MAC.
Kenny Burns, I think a big part of what he was doing there is, he lost a lot of players to the transfer portal. He
Yeah.
lost a lot of opportunities. He came in kind of late, really. Sean Lewis leaving to go take the job
Right.
with Coach Prime, now the head coach at San Diego State.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of moving parts there. A lot of graduating seniors. They were a 5-7 team the year before, so it's not like they were world beaters the year before. Yeah. He's blowing it up, starting out all over. Year 2, I think we're going to see Kent State take a step forward, and I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, I think Kent State will take a step forward this year. Aaron,
So-
what's the mode you're looking forward to?
So I got two. I gotta make a Road to Glory. I loved playing Road to Glory. I built a lot of positions. I made a receiver, a corner, halfback. I've done one quarterback. I like doing all the other positions.
To me, on the old NCAA games, I feel like running back was the best, personally.
Running back.
Yeah, running back.
Running back
or
was-
quarterback for
yeah.
sure.
I thought running back was the one.
I am also with some friends. We're thinking of doing an online dynasty.
Nice.
And so you got to choose. It's all group of 5 schools. There's no Power 4 schools allowed. So unfortunately, you can't choose
Smart.
Cincinnati, UCF anymore. 'Cause
Smart.
They went to Big
Smart.
12.
You got to choose Sam Houston State.
So I was gonna try.
Kennesaw
State.
State.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah,
Yes,
I am
sir.
gonna choose. I am gonna do a Toledo one because I kind of feel obligated to do one. As a former.
See,
A
that's
former
where
student.
Yeah,
That's
former
where
student,
students
being an
are.
alum. of
That's
the
where I'm
school.
torn because I'm about to have my undergrad from Toledo, and then my master's from Ohio. So I think I just got to play Miami because both of those schools hate
That's
hate
very
Miami.
true.
So
Might as well.
I am probably gonna do an online dynasty, and I'm gonna be the Tulane Green Wave.
there you go.
I know why.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I know why.
Yes, I am from Greenville, Ohio. Our school was called the Greenville Green Wave. So
No one else knows where that is, so we'll just move on quickly.
What about you, Logan?
For me-
You got. Come on, we were talking about this.
Okay. It's yes, Road to Glory. Of course, Road to Glory. I want to be the best punter in college football if they allow it.
Going to Iowa, baby.
oh yeah, you gotta go.
I want to go to Iowa to be the best punter of all time in college football history.
my face
Maybe win a
hurts here.
Heisman as punter, to be honest with you. But Dynasty for sure. I'm trying to remember. I think there were two teams I said. Well, they got to do a Toledo Dynasty, of course. You've got to do a Toledo Dynasty. Southern Mississippi screams. That's calling me. Maybe a we could maybe a Kennesaw State. I think that one might be
Attaboy.
really good.
You might have to do that one.
Kennesaw State, that's the one team I think you'll see in the game that actually has brown spots on their grass.
Probably.
Have you seen their field? They're now a FBS school this year,
Yeah.
joining Conference USA,
Yeah.
and their field is not kept
great.
up.
Nope. No.
Is not kept up at all. But we'll give them grace. Kennesaw State, I'm going to build you into a superpower, and you're going to be the best team in college football. You're going to beat the hell out of Georgia and Kirby Smart. I promise you. In-state game. In-state rivalry.
Kirby Smart better be shaking in his boots.
He will be shaking in his boots when he sees the Kennesaw State football team walking to Athens, Georgia. He will be shaking in his boots. I wish they had FCS teams right away in the game.
Yeah.
I really wish they had an FCS.
I get why they don't. I mean, you remember as the older games were happening, the later it got, they started doing FCS.
Southeast.
Southeast All-Stars.
Yeah.
And they'd be rated like 40.
Yes.
Right? You know,
Yes.
so I get why you're not putting them in because it's already going to be so hard to rate accurately 133 teams.
Right.
Now to add another 160, 150.
Yeah.
I get why it's not happening. Now maybe next year's edition, once you have the foundation set, the groundwork laid, maybe they'll do it. Or I could see, and there was talk about this, do it as a DLC.
I did see that as
Purchasable.
a DLC.
You could purchase FCS
Because
conferences.
there's some teams I think you got to get in there. North Dakota State's one.
North Dakota, South Dakota State, both of those teams have to be in.
Montana State, Montana,
yeah.
Cat Grizz game, that legendary rivalry out west.
Yes,
That's a good one.
that is a good one. But I think the Bison and the Jackrabbits have to be in at least.
Yeah.
They have to be. At least those two. Because, honest to God, I don't see how those two still aren't FBS, but I think it's because of the amount of teams you need to have for varsity sports of the college athletics. The reason why they're still
I
not.
think there's a whole, I mean, North Dakota State plays Colorado for actual football this upcoming year.
North Dakota
So-
State has won, I believe, 9 of their last 10 games against FBS opponents. I could be mistaken by that. I don't know the exact number, but I saw a stat that they had won like at least 5 of their last 6 games
And
against
it's
FBS
not
opponents.
even that they were playing, Akron or I don't know who's a terrible team in Conference USA, Kennesaw State.
Kennesaw State.
It's not that they were playing those opponents. They were playing quality opponents. I think they've knocked off Oregon or Oregon State. Maybe it was.
They've knocked off Iowa.
They've knocked off Iowa. So I mean, they've played great opponents.
Yeah.
From power conferences. So I mean, yeah, they are a quality program. They've built it the right way. They're still an FCS, and I expect that as we see more conference realignment, things like that happen, they will get brought up. I could see Mountain West. I could see MAC. They're kind of in that sweet spot where they could be one or the other.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen sooner than later. The MAC's going to be looking for a 14th team.
I feel like I know who the 14th team is. The problem is I feel like they're in Conference USA.
I mean, I know who I think the 14th team should be, and I know who the 14th team wants to be. But again, they are in Conference USA.
You want to break the rumors out here? No, just kidding.
Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky. That's who I was thinking.
Too. I'm like, you guys about to say the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky?
Listen, that rivalry between Western Kentucky and Western Michigan would feed families.
Yes, it would. The Battle of the Westerns.
Because Western Michigan used to be the Hilltoppers. Fun little history tidbit for you from your resident Mac guy.
Okay.
And they're located in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
They are.
Bowling Green, Ohio. Bowling Green, Kentucky. Another great, potentially already pre-built rivalry game. The Battle of the BGs. And then you have the BG show up and perform at halftime. Kevin will get that
Good
one.
Good one. That one was definitely for Kevin O'Corn, for sure. For sure. That's all right, though. Hey, Western Kentucky, join the MAC, please.
Come
I know
home.
about Middle Tennessee. I know about that whole debacle. Middle Tennessee, they got the cold feet. Western Kentucky, keep that feet warm and walk your way up to the MAC. We would want that. We appreciate that. Go Top, by the way. Go Top. Let's get into NFL schedule release, as the schedule for the NFL season has come out for this year. And boy, do we have some great week 1 matchups. Don't we?
We
have
do.
some great week 1
I kind of want
matchups.
to start with Allen's team.
Yes, we should start with Allen's team. Lions, Rams at home. Matthew Stafford coming home part 2, but this time actually in the regular season on Sunday night. Allen, is Stafford actually going to get a standing ovation this time?
I think at the beginning of the game, probably. But as time goes, we're going to start booing the crap out of him because we got Jared Goff now. We're in a better place. Don't get me wrong. We love what Stafford did for us, but we almost went to the promised land with Jared Goff. We haven't done that with Stafford, so
Speaking of Jared
we'll
Goff,
give him the respect at the beginning of the game, but
yeah.
we got a game to win.
Oh, talking about that money.
Speaking
the
of
money he
Jared
got?
Goff, woo-wee.
Man,
5 years, $212 million, $170 million guaranteed.
I think he's now the per year highest paid player, second highest? Okay.
Second highest paid
Behind Joe
player,
Burrow.
$53 million a year. I know some people at home are not too happy about it. I know some other people that are very happy about it.
I am happy about it.
A lot of Lions fans are split, I think. I think there's a little bit of a divide between the Lions fans here because you have Lions fans who don't like him because of his ability to not play well under pressure, yet it's still a stability that they haven't really had at the quarterback position. I mean, Matthew Stafford, he was stable, but the team itself was very unstable. Now the team around Jared Goff is fully stable, yet maybe he himself isn't the most stable quarterback.
I mean, he is fine. He can get you what you need. It's just
Can he get you a ring?
with this line,
Yes.
he probably can.
Here's the thing. They were so close to getting a ring when he was in L.A. with the Rams against the Patriots.
Yeah.
He was incredibly close. I mean, he ran into the Patriots' defensive juggernaut of Bill Belichick's mind.
Right.
But they were incredibly close. It was a 13-3 football game. Offensively, they didn't do anything, but he did enough to get him there. I think he has all the ability in the world to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I just don't know that it was in L.A. I think in the next 3 years, and this is my hot take of the day, next 3 years, Lions are in the Super Bowl.
Like in one of the 3 years?
Within the next 3 years, they will be in the Super Bowl.
I think it kind of.
I think they were close this year.
With the money, how they're spending
Don't
their
look
money
at me
and
like
all
that. They will be in the Super Bowl in the next 3 years. This is a Lion team that is young. They are hungry. They are built for the
they
future.
have the second best odds right now to win the NFC, only behind the 49ers.
See, not even a hot take. It's just a pretty true take.
I'm not saying it's a hot take.
I just felt like it was when you grow up watching the Lions, and especially as the Packers fan here, watching the Lions, just kind of, Packers are always up here, Lions kind of up here. So now it's like here. So
see, I benefited from growing up watching the Patriots, so I don't know what that looks like until recently.
I still kind of don't half know what that is like yet.
I'm a Browns fan, so.
Browns in the Super Bowl in the next 50 years. Book it.
Hey, I did say Browns versus Lions 19-0 versus 19-0 in the group chat.
I said Packers versus Packers because Green Bay is the biggest market, obviously, in the NFL, that they're going to have to split off and have a team in the AFC side to where they're so good that they just play each other. So that way they can't
Green
lose.
Bay spelled with an A and a Green Bay spelled with an E.
Yeah.
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 Hey, it's
basically.
good. We have the draft though next year, so.
Yeah.
But
You do have the draft next year, but the Lions, I mean, that's one hell of a game to start off your season. Sunday night football, Matthew Stafford coming back home. That great week 1 matchup. My Browns, Tom Brady's first game calling at home
I'm
in Cleveland.
so excited for that.
Against the Dallas Cowboys.
I just can't wait to watch Tom Brady and now be a commentator.
Tom Brady as an analyst having his first game be for the Cleveland Browns, that kind of feels
cool.
that feels special to me, Tom. Nothing's more special than watching you get roasted on Netflix. That was even better.
Great.
But hopefully you don't roast the Browns as much when you're actually calling the game for us that day, as you took the roasting that night. But I think that a lot of people, are sleeping on the Browns this year. I think, I don't know. I think everyone, it's the expectation of Deshaun Watson to go out there and finally play like he should with his contract, with all the money he's being paid, with the off-the-field stuff he has to perform now. I feel like Deshaun Watson, he kind of showed that before he was out for the rest of the year with a shoulder injury. People forget he played a whole game, probably 3 weeks, with a broken shoulder and a sprained ankle. So
I think that there's a lot of dissent for Deshaun Watson, partially because he hasn't performed up to expectations.
Yes.
Partly because of the off-field stuff, and now that this is his prove it year.
It is.
You got most of those distractions out of the way. You should be fully healthy coming into the year, and in fairness, he was fully healthy coming into last year.
He was.
In fairness, and he performed okay, but I think this is the year that the Browns ownership, the fans, you must do something.
Yes.
Especially because you saw 41-year-old Joe Flacco come back, 40-year-old Joe Flacco come back,
Right.
Yeah.
and get you to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, you are 12 years younger than this man, 10 years younger than this man. You should be performing at a much better level because your skills are just that much more refined. They pulled Joe Flacco off the couch
Yes.
Yeah.
and said, hey, go throw the football. And he was having 3 touchdown games. Deshaun Watson, this is your do or die year.
It is his do or die year, and I think Cleveland will be all right, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I think they probably have one of, if not the best defense still in the National Football League.
Oh, yeah.
And they still have arguably the best defensive player in the league in Myles Garrett. So I'm not worried about the defensive side of the ball. It's offense's time. You've got Jerry Jeudy now at wide receiver, who's a good wide receiver too. You have Elijah Moore still with, obviously, Amari Cooper at the one position.
I was gonna say, you've still got Amari, so.
So I think, and Nick Chubb hopefully coming back at some point during the season fully healthy.
Even if you don't have a fully healthy Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford did
They,
great.
I say they can still run the ball if Kevin,
and you could call up
with that
Kareem Hunt
offense.
again.
Oh, Allen.
Allen. Let's get to Allen real quick.
Hey, all I'm saying is Jameis Winston's going to be starting by week 6 because Deshaun's going to get injured again.
I forgot. James.
Actually,
Step back
that's
up.
right. By week 9, it'll be Tyler Huntley.
There you go.
Oh, gosh.
It'll be Tyler Huntley.
then
And at
week
this rate,
13,
no,
it'll
week
be,
13, week 13, the Browns actually just signed Jacob Sermon, former Washington quarterback.
That's right.
And then
That's right.
former Washington, Central Michigan, and I think Northern Colorado. I think all 3 schools he hit. I think he might have hit a 4th. I don't know. But now he's on the roster of some capacity, probably practice squad, and probably going to be on his 4th NFL team by mid-September. But then they're going to bring him back to be the starter
What a great
in
gig, though.
mid-November.
Just ride practice squads for your career. It's an easy $80,000 a year. You
Yeah.
don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
That's the dream right there, man.
Right. No, seriously. Being a practice squad NFL player might just be the best job out there.
Aside from backup NFL quarterback,
Yes.
you make a little bit more money and you don't have to do anything. You hold a clipboard.
Yeah. You do hold a clipboard, but they're usually the smartest people out there, too.
True.
Since we're talking about the Browns and Deshaun Watson, how about we pivot to the other team on the other side of the trade in the Houston Texans? Because, wow.
Man.
Houston, you have definitely landed. You've won that trade, regardless of what happened in Cleveland, I think.
Yeah.
You've won that trade.
Well, they turned that trade into
Everything.
another trade.
They turned that trade
And
into
they
another
got
trade.
C.J. Stroud with Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
They did a very, very fast rebuild. Like
I-
that, I'm not going to lie, I did not think it was going to be that fast. I thought it was like, okay, I'll probably take some time, like actually give D'Amico Ryans, more than a year. Well, apparently all the guy needed was a year to get to a divisional round.
I said this on our hot take segment a while ago, but I'm going to just say it again because I fully believe it. I think the Houston Texans wins the AFC this year.
I think they definitely win the South, and I think that they get to the AFC Championship game.
Here, I'll give you some.
I
give you some
think they
odds to
win
back
the
you up.
AFC.
They're actually 5th in odds right now to win the AFC,
I think
behind like Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, Ravens.
got to send the Bills back a little bit on that list. I'm just saying.
Oh,
And the
don't worry,
Bengals-
the NFC
see,
side's bad
think
too.
about it. Can we see Joe Burrow get healthy? We talked about Lamar Jackson and not being healthy, and he just went out and won another MVP, and he's actually been healthy. Joe Burrow, he's got to be talked about the same way now.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is the same. If he stays healthy, the Bengals usually are fine. They're usually competing.
Yeah.
I mean, every year it's so funny because he's had two full healthy seasons. It's been a Super Bowl and then a 3-point loss to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So obviously, when he's healthy and they're all playing, Bengals are a good team.
And keep in mind though, that's when you had Joe Mixon, right?
That's true.
And I think now that backfield switches up a little bit. Joe Mixon, best of luck to him, obviously. But I think you now have a different kind of offense that you have to run. I don't know that it's the same offense, and now you've got different wide receivers. You've got just a few things are just a little bit different, and so I think this is going to be an interesting year for Joe Burrow because now he's healthy again, and it's he had the thumb surgery, right?
He had
That's what it
that
was.
weird hand wrist. Something was wrong with his thumb.
And
Yes.
so now it's how quickly can you recover? It looked like he's been recovering well. He's been out throwing with people and whatnot, and how quickly can you mesh with now your new teammates? You've got Jake Browning backing you up. You've got Logan Woodside is now back with
Toledo legend, by the way.
with the Bengals, and now NIU quarterback legend Rocky Lombardi now with them. So that's two Maction guys.
Two Maction guys right behind you, ready to take your job, Joe Burrow.
So you better be ready, or Logan Woodside's going to start throwing tutties down at Paycor Stadium.
Absolutely. Hey, it'll probably happen at some point,
I'm
knowing
fine
Joe
with
Burrow's
it.
history.
Right.
But seriously, though, I think Houston should get more credit, even though I know it was 1 year. C.J. Stroud is a superstar quarterback already. He's a top 5 quality quarterback already in the NFL. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Last year was his rookie year, correct?
Yes.
It was.
So
There's that sophomore slump thing. That
I
can
don't
happen.
disagree with you. I think he has all the tools to be an incredibly successful NFL quarterback. I think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback in his career. I always hesitate to call somebody a superstar after their freshman year or their rookie year of ball, just because now you're a known commodity. Before, he wasn't a known
Now
commodity.
everyone's going out there after you.
Everybody understands a little bit. Now, I said the same thing about Lamar Jackson, and he's been great.
Yeah.
Like you said, he just won another MVP.
Yeah.
But he hasn't won a Super Bowl.
Correct.
I don't think C.J. Stroud is in the same class. In fact, I think C.J. Stroud overall is better. But I think it's important. I always hesitate. I usually like to give guys 3 years in the league before I anoint them as superstar talent. I think C.J. Stroud is well on his way there.
Yeah.
But I hesitate to put that label on him. But I think he is going to be one of the stars of the league this year.
Yeah. I think C.J. Stroud has all the tools to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Houston Texans and to finally give that organization their first Super Bowl ring as the youngest organization in the National Football League. I don't know. There's just something about C.J. Stroud that was just different from his time at Ohio State. We talked as Ohio State fans. There was something about him.
He doesn't have Ryan Day anymore.
He doesn't have Ryan Day anymore, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It appears that it doesn't matter, and it shows that it doesn't matter.
I think it actually shows that he's better than what Ryan Day was letting him do. You saw
correct.
You saw what he did this
I
year.
agree.
I think there was half of it was
They didn't
because we talked about it. I think half the fact was they didn't want to have a risk of him getting injured because you didn't see until the Georgia game how much he could use his legs.
Sure.
He kind of did a lot more of that in the NFL too.
Yes.
But I think the other thing to that point, I agree with you. I think the other thing to that point is Ryan Day was very much looking, all right, we have a shot to go win a national championship now. We backdoored in. Let's go. Everything on the table. Let's go try to do this. And when you finally open up the playbook, I saw Ohio State fans say, where has this been the last 3 years? Why haven't we opened the playbook like this? Because that Ohio State team, I think, you don't let players get injured in the game. That Ohio State team was a national championship team.
yes.
Yeah.
From that one game, I said, this is a team that I think could win the national championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even with our terrible defense
You
that
know,
year.
Tom Brady was actually just recently interviewed, and they asked him about one guy that he likes to watch in today's game, and the one guy he said was C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
He said C.J. Stroud has the qualities to be successful. You know, I think when it comes to Tom Brady and we look at his career and everything, he was a guy who never took the most amount of money.
Correct.
He was a guy who relied on his teammates a lot. He was a natural leader. And when you are a natural leader at the quarterback position, I feel like you usually can have a better on career throughout your NFL career. Now, Patrick Mahomes, we look at Mahomes, he's taken $500 million, but if you really look at his contract, it's actually not that big of a hit to Kansas City.
Right.
Because there's a lot of different tie-ins to his contract that a lot of the guaranteed money is only like $140 million or something. There's a lot more incentives in there and a lot of other back-end money. Because Mahomes is also trying to win Super Bowls all the time. He's already got 3.
Right.
He's taking team-friendly deals to make sure that that can keep on happening. Even though on the surface you see $500 million, it's not.
Well, and I think to your point, you talk about Tom Brady taking, you know, what he did to go win 7 titles. Tom Brady never gave the appearance of being a selfish player until his last 2 years, when he was 2 or 3 years when he was with Tampa Bay.
Yes.
He went out and won a title in Tampa Bay, and in his first year.
Right.
But
yeah.
I think he really built a superstar team around him. He it was the LeBron effect.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, hey, come play with me in Tampa Bay. Come play with me. And he tried to build a superstar team. Tom Brady has always put so much trust in his teammates that he says, hey, this guy can go do this. He knew what Julian Edelman could do. Julian Edelman is not a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
No.
Patriots Hall of Fame, sure. NFL Hall of Fame, absolutely not. But he trusted Julian Edelman, and Julian Edelman was a Super Bowl MVP because of Tom Brady.
Right.
Rob Gronkowski was a great tight end anywhere he goes. He became the superstar tight end he was because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady knew how to trust him. And, you know, you had great pieces. Josh McDaniels leading that offense. You had Bill Belichick at the helm. So there were a lot of other moving parts in there. Danny Amendola, where did he do most of his career damage? New England.
Yeah.
You know, so Wes Welker, most of his career damage, New England, and then a little bit of Denver.
Yeah.
So these guys are all, it's the Brady effect.
Yeah.
You know,
just like we're going to
Brandon
have.
LaFell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is he now?
That's a great name to pull out.
Forever.
That's a great name to pull out.
Where is he now? He's bagging groceries at Safeway.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you know, I joke about that, of course, but Brady made everybody around him better because he knew the game better than anybody else.
Yeah. And just like we're going to see with the Stroud effect, where Nico Collins wins Super Bowl MVP this year.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
speaking of MVPs and Super Bowls,
Yes.
and the game that I have highlighted, and I've got it pulled up right here, Ravens-Chiefs on Thursday night. I cannot wait for the AFC Championship rematch.
Yes.
In
Yes.
Kansas City. That's going to be electric watching that game go down.
That.
Kansas City's
You
only
can't-
favored by 3. Granted, we're way early,
Right.
Yeah.
but that's going to be a fun game.
That's going to be an absolutely amazing game. That's a great game to start it off with.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to his Packers-Eagles game
That's
in
gonna be good,
Brazil.
too.
I think that's going to be a great start. Really see where Jordan Love and Green Bay really are. And if Philadelphia, you know, they kind of slipped up last season, and see if they can bounce back a little bit.
So that game's gonna be interesting. So you have a lot of pieces that you want to see how they fit on both teams. Packers went out. They got a younger halfback. I see Alan might also have some stuff he wants to say too.
Alan?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a game that I'm a little interested in is the Thanksgiving Day game. I can't wait to see what we can do against the Bears. The whole new offense that they have.
Is that the first time
I
you guys
think-
play the Bears this Thanksgiving?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know.
Well, I like hearing the boo track in the background.
I would say the one thing when that schedule came out was I was very shocked was the fact that Caleb Williams' first time at Lambeau Field was Week 18.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought the NFL was gonna make that a Sunday night game.
See, that works out so well for Caleb Williams because now you've had a season of NFL experience. You're not going into a place as hostile as Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
As completely green. Now you've got 16 games under your belt. You understand the NFL. You understand the pace of the NFL. That works out so well for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie. When I first was thinking of schedules, I was like, okay, how are they gonna schedule this? I was like, man, they kind of always like to put a Packers-Bears game, usually at prime time. They try to highlight the oldest rivalry in the NFL. And I figure, look, they're really big on Caleb Williams. All the offseason moves they made. It's Lambeau Field. The moves we've made. I thought that was going to be a Sunday night game.
I thought that was going to be a Sunday night game. I thought that could have been the Week 1 Sunday night game. To be honest, highlight Caleb Williams right away.
It could have been, but
and
then
the success of Jordan Love.
Yeah, but then we got to go, we get to go to Brazil. Yeah. And we got to face, the Toledo cornerback and Quinyon Mitchell. Shout out Quinyon Mitchell, by the way. Go Rockets, as you said to me up in the draft press conference room afterwards. Go Rockets, Quinyon. Because both of those teams got a lot of offseason moves. Philadelphia Eagles did a lot. Signed Saquon. They drafted Cooper DeJean. You drafted Quinyon Mitchell. So you got because they're trying to get that secondary back to be decent.
Yes, they're setting up that
signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who didn't really fit Detroit. He fits Philly a lot better than he did in Detroit. As I gotta say, Allen, I think was not upset that C.J. went back to Philly. I mean, they got Kirby Joseph, they got Brian Branch. They're going to be fine at safeties.
And with Detroit, I think they got maybe the steal of the first round with Terrion Arnold with the trade up.
That trade for them, that was the Cowboys spiting the Packers right there. I don't care. That is what I believe. The Cowboys just traded with the Lions to basically give them what I thought was either the best or second best, because Arnold and Quinyon was like 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys traded back to the Lions so that the Lions could go up right in front of the Packers to draft Terrion Arnold.
If
you can't tell me that those two teams aren't just trying to
spite the Packers.
Yeah, spite the Packers, go at the Packers, then I'm like,
respectfully, there was no way you draft Jordan Morgan if Terrion Arnold was available, because you needed help yourself in the secondary.
I think if Terrion Arnold was there, we were like, look, I know we want a corner. He's there. You got to do it.
You have to do it.
And then Lions had to jump up in front of the Packers. And he was like, well, luckily the Cowboys, who just got embarrassed by them in the playoffs, are there. So, hey, you guys want to, give us the actual cornerback and not the Packers, even though we're still in the same conference as you and probably going to, be in the playoffs. But,
It's all right. Spite the Packers again. But it's all right. You still got Jordan Love. You're going to still make the divisional round in the NFC playoffs. It is what it is. Congratulations. But you're going to lose to the 49ers in the NFC divisional.
Yeah, okay. We got to see what Josh Jacobs does. Xavier McKinney, our new defensive coordinator, he's completely changing the defense. It's going to be a 4-3 for a base.
I don't think you
could
get any worse
anymore
than a Joe Brady defense. Joe Woods when he was in Cleveland, I could argue.
Okay, it's just a lot of these defensive coordinators the name Joe just not good, because I didn't like Joe Barry.
Anyone named Joe as a coach, don't trust him.
Yeah, because apparently from us there's experience, it doesn't work.
Joe Schmo. That's how they coach.
Jim Schwartz works.
Jim Schwartz? Oh, don't even get me started about Jim Schwartz. The statue that should already be built outside of Cleveland Browns Stadium for that man. It'd do wonders for my psyche, for sure. But yeah, I think that's a good spot to wrap up episode 103 here from the Ball Beats podcast. Welcome, Alex, with us.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate all the fun that we're going to have here over summer. It's been a few weeks, but expect more content to be pushed out throughout the summer. Alan joining us from Zoom as well. We appreciate him today. We're going to wrap up here. Signing off here from the Ball and Beats podcast. Tune in to us next week. Take care, everyone. Peace.